Let's get to our panel, Bruce Hawker and Kerry Chikarovsky. Bruce, first to you, the polling, it's all in one direction. And as you and I have discussed over years, this is about the trend you look at. I've been cautioned by some in the coalition in the campaign headquarters, just be a bit careful with some of these numbers, that they still think they're a chance, Bruce.
Well, you've got to look at what's happening on a seat-by-seat basis always in election campaigns, particularly these days where uniform swings don't make much sense at all to the overall picture. And, of course, if you go through it on a seat-by-seat basis, you may get a closer result than looks to be the position at the moment. And, of course, on top of that, you have memories of 2019. I'm sure Bill Shorten still wakes up in a cold sweat at night time thinking about losing that election when they thought it was in the bag. So no one should take anything for granted in this election campaign at all. But the overall trend is not favouring Peter Dutton and the Liberals, and that should be of real concern to them.
Kerry Chikarovsky, what's your sense with voters going to the polls from tomorrow? The pre-poll kicks off tomorrow, so only 2 weeks to go until polling day, but many of the population, many of the voters would have had their say by then.
And I think you'll find that often people who pre-poll are already committed. They're probably the core people who've been committed for a long time now. The coalition will continue to target the undecided, and that, from all the polling, it still seems to be quite a large group. So I think that the campaign will kick up in the next couple of weeks. I think that you're seeing some of those things today, for example, with Peter Dutton coming out on law and order, which is ground that he's very comfortable on, being an ex-policeman. And I think one of the concerns which really hasn't been raised in this campaign so far. So I remain optimistic, Kieran, but I'm not as optimistic as I was before the campaign started. But I agree with Bruce. It will always, as we know in these days, come down to that seat by seat, and there will be issues in each of those seats which we probably aren't even aware of, but which voters might pick up on. So, for example, we would think in places like Queensland and in Victoria, where crime has been a big issue, will what Peter has announced today make a bigger impact in those states than it would perhaps in New South Wales? We have to wait and see.
Bruce, one of the points there Kerry made is something that pollsters have been saying to me for a long time. In this electorate right now, there is still a soft vote. Is that your read on things, or are things starting to firm up? Say it's like wet cement. Are we seeing a situation where that is starting to solidify during the campaign?
Well, we've still got a couple of weeks to go, but the issue really for the Liberals is, where is it trending at the moment? And it doesn't seem to be going anywhere well for them at the moment. So that's the problem for Dutton. That's why he's looking to other issues, because on issues like who's better at running the economy, where you would have thought that the Liberals would have been in a very strong position, they're not doing particularly well at all. So hence today you see something about crime, law and order, but that's basically a state issue, and people are going to be thinking about state governments when they're thinking about those issues more than the federal government. So the problem for him is when he gets off message, which is all about cost of living issues, he gets into spaces where people aren't really changing their vote on those points. That's my sense of it.